日本時間7日、米スポーツ局 ESPN のファーストテイク内で、マッドドッグの異名を持つラジオパーソナリティであり、野球専門家のルッソ氏が、トークショーで大谷翔平に噛みつき物議を醸しています。エンゼルスから FA となり当初、ウィンターミーティング中に決着するものと見られていた争奪戦は長期化。そんな状況に怒り心頭なルッソ氏は、米スポーツ局 ESPN のファーストテイク内で、
大谷とかいうもののことは、私の人生の中で一番の時間の無駄だ。FA で6チームと契約交渉している。こいつは何だ？原爆か？我々は何があっているのか知ることも許されていない。これは野球だぞ。あいつはセレブだ。これが全てだ。馬鹿げている。
と吐き捨てています。今オフの大谷争奪戦は、ネズバレロ代理人が獲得を目指す球団に対して箝口令を敷いています。ただ、前日5日に最有力候補に上がるドジャースのデーブ・ロバーツ監督が公式会見で大谷とドジャースタジアムで面談していたことを公表。現地は騒然となりましたが、このことにもルッソ氏は違和感を覚えたようです。ルッソ氏は、
我々が大谷の件について話し合っているという事実自体が完全な冗談だ。
とし、大谷に6億ドルを投じるチームには数度にわたり、
頭を調べてもらう必要がある。
と声を荒げ、終始激しい口調で批判を重ねました。さらに、同番組に一緒に出演していたスポーツジャーナリストのスティーブン・ A. スミス氏も、長期化している大谷の FA 去就に関して、
今の大谷の振る舞いを見ていると、素晴らしい選手に値するとは思えない。
と、厳しいコメントをしていましたので、日本語字幕付きでご紹介していきます。
But in this particular instance, when we're talking about Shohei Ohtani, it's a different animal because it's a bit extreme in terms of the level of secrecy that he engages in. And when you're looking to go to potentially another team, okay, and you have these kind of stipulations where somebody literally has to be guarded about acknowledging that they met you for breakfast or lunch. Well, if you capitulate to those kind of things, well, you're at the mercy of that player once he ultimately arrives. Because if he's that extreme walking into the door, you think he's going to lighten up once he arrives? That's the way that I'm looking at it. So it's problematic. Then I got to take into consideration, what are you worth? Okay. So when you win, that's a different animal. Okay. Because I talk about winning all the time. I believe in winning. I think it's a priority. I think it's important. Okay. This man has never played in the postseason. They haven't been to the postseason in 8 years. They've had one postseason appearance in the last 13 years as a franchise. And oh, by the way, all 8 years that they missed the postseason, they didn't have a winning record one of those times. 8 consecutive losing seasons, not just missing the playoffs, losing seasons, meaning you lost more games than you actually won. And so as great as he may be, what does that materialize into in the sport of Major League Baseball? For the Angels, it's been close to nothing. And so when I look at other teams and I see the Atlantas of the world and the Phillies of the world and the Houstons of the world and Texases of the world and others, and I see the accumulation of personnel that they have, team chemistry and everything that comes with it, okay, that doesn't require nearly as much in order to enjoy a significantly more level of success. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to pay you $600 million. You can't even play next season. I don't know how healthy you're going to be after that. And on top of it all, before you even walk in here, you got these kinds of stipulations where you're putting a muzzle on me and I'm the one who potentially will be paying you. You must have lost your ever-loving mind. That's the way I look at it, and I totally agree with you, doggy. As great as he is, as phenomenal as he is, and there's no disputing that, I don't think you're worth it when you are acting like that.
目玉である大谷の去就が決まらずに移籍市場は停滞。水面下で行われる極秘交渉に対して批判的な意見も出つつありますが、ここまでの暴言の連発には SNS 上でも、
クリス・ルッソ、これは本当にダメなやつ。
原爆とか、クリス・ルッソ一線越えてるよ。
など、批判のコメントが溢れる事態となっています。また、水面下で行われている大谷と球団側の交渉について、大谷がブルージェイズとフロリダ州ダニーデンのキャンプ施設で面会したことを、MLB ネットワークの番組ホットストーブや、米ポッドキャスト番組、ファウルテリトリーの中で話してくれていましたので、日本語字幕付きでご紹介していきます。
There was a lot of chatter, nothing more than that, but some pretty interesting chatter around Shohei Ohtani's record-breaking free agency, potential record-breaking free agency. The latest is, according to Ken Rosenthal, that the Blue Jays snuck him into Dunedin to have a conversation, a meeting, and a meet and greet, maybe have a couple of bites of bagel, whatever it might have been. And they seem to be getting a lot of traction as leading the Ohtani conversation. We're not saying that they're the front runners because
why wouldn't you go to Canada? Why wouldn't you go to Toronto? Why do you go to
Because it's so much easier
facility?
just to get down to Dunedin, right? You don't have to do any immigration. You don't have to do any visas. There's no passport necessary. None of that
Yeah,
stuff.
but he's not going to be playing in Dunedin but 6 weeks. You want to show him around the town.
I'm sure.
I guess this was kind of a get to know each other or something.
All in good time for that.
We'll ask Derek how that worked in
JP
Minnesota.
Morosi has some information later on about another team who he feels is on equal footing to Ohtani. But let me ask you this specifically because everybody here is parroting the same line. There's no activity because the market's waiting for Shohei. Doesn't it make sense that if you're one of the, and I'll be generous here, if you're one of the 20-plus teams that has no chance at Ohtani, shouldn't you be out there doing your business anyway?
Well, I think, yeah, absolutely. But I do think the market's being held up not because of Ohtani. I think it's Bellinger, and I think it's more Soto. There's so many trade pieces going on. If you're giving up 7, 8 players, 10 players to go get Soto, what we're hearing, those crazy numbers, that's affecting 2 or 3 different trades. There's going to be more trades done than free agent signings. So you only have so many players in your organization. If you're thinking about making the move, like Seattle made the move the other day with Atlanta, right? And now we're hearing Atlanta's talking about flipping Gonzalez, Marco Gonzalez now. So you're looking at how many players are going to go in those different deals. And if you're sitting there going, Soto's in play, and I may have to take 7 prospects, I only have how many really can you really have in an organization?
Yep.
So I think all those things are holding it up more so than Ohtani.
It makes sense. It makes sense. So maybe we get some answers in some of this now, but I don't think anybody's expecting Ohtani or Yamamoto to be imminent. I think that's a fair way to put it.
Thoughts on Shohei Ohtani visiting Dunedin, Florida, and this show actually being closer to where the action is than where you are right now?
Well, it was really interesting to hear this yesterday, and all day long it seemed like something was going on. Ross Atkins rescheduled his availability for an undisclosed location. He wouldn't tell anybody where it was. John Schneider's availability was rescheduled last Friday from Monday to Tuesday. And then we learned that Nez Bilello, Shohei Ohtani's agent, was not in the state of Tennessee. And then it was just a matter of finding out where they were. And it turns out they were in Dunedin at the Blue Jays complex. At least that is what I heard, and that's what I reported, that is where the meeting is believed to have taken place. So this obviously establishes the Jays as a serious player. They were a serious player before. We've been talking about them for weeks. But this is a different level. And when a guy visits a spring training complex, that's probably to make sure he's comfortable before advancing the negotiations to another level. Now, don't get me wrong. That does not mean the Jays are the front runner. It does not mean anything at all. This is free agency. Anything can happen. The Dodgers are still perceived by many in the industry to be the leading team for Shohei Ohtani. The Giants are in there. The Angels are in there. The Cubs, to a varying extent, it seems, are in there as well. So I don't know that last night ultimately, or yesterday, ultimately will prove decisive in this process, but it was an interesting development to be sure.
Is the excitement of this greater than the chance of this? Or is the boredom of the Dodgers being the team that's going to sign him, which we've said since they didn't sign anybody last year to any big contracts, is that what we're trying to avoid as a baseball industry?
Eric, I don't know that there's any master plan in place as a baseball industry. Each team is vying for Ohtani. And the perception of how it goes down and where he went will be based on the eye of the beholder, right?
これからも大谷の活躍から目が離せません。皆様からのコメントもお待ちしております。